Diamond's in the business of making mutants mini. Here's your look at the Diamond Select Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Minimates Previews exclusive. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fever has struck the nation. They're weird, they're wacky, and man, they're ever hip. These heroes in a half shell are the rage among kids, teenagers, and ultra-cool adults. Once common household pets, they were transformed into mutants by radioactive green slime. Now the noble foursome spreads their message of truth, justice, and a larger slice of pizza for all. Before we take to looking at tiny little turtles with tons of articulation, I'd like to first thank the folks over at Diamond Select that were kind enough to provide this sample of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Minimates so we can have a look in this review. This set, by the way, is a previews exclusive. It's limited to only 2,500 copies worldwide. For the obvious reasons that each one of the turtles are using, after all, the same standard size Minimate body, it doesn't make any sense at all to measure each one of them, so I'll only measure just the leader, Leonardo. The Minimates are standing exactly 2 inches in height, or they're about 5 centimeters tall. Before we also look at the accessories, do you just mind if I interrupt myself for a second? Oh, don't mind if I do. Let's go ahead and I wanted to also bring in the box that they come included with, because I really like the idea that they made the box look like an old VHS tape, right to the point where, as well, if you slide this out, on the one side, of course, we'll have the window where all the characters would have been contained inside. But if you look at the back side of this as well, it looks like an old VHS tape. Apparently a 2-night rental as well. What video store was offering 2-day rentals on kids' cartoons? Usually you would, I think most of the times I would go to video stores, you'd be allowed to rent them for like 5 days. 2-day rental. Seems a bit steep. Anyways, let's move this out of the way. Going back, of course, to the accessories that come included with the characters. All the Minimates, by the way, and that tends to be the case across the board, come included with clear acrylic display stands. Not all of them are identical, though. You get 2 of them that look the same, and of course they have the pegs on the top that plug into the undersides of the Minimates' feet. But then you get 2 that are unique. One that has covered slime on the top of it, mutagen. I don't know if it would be probably a good idea for any turtle to be actually stepping on it. Speaking of residual remains, you can see on the side, unfortunately though, while trying to peel the tape off this, I've left behind a little bit of glue. I'm going to see if I can wipe that off completely. Oh, there we go. Okay. So you get this one that's a little bit different, and then you also get one that looks to be a manhole cover. It's strange that the manhole cover seems to have a key, almost as if it's supposed to look more like a door. I would have guessed that this is probably still a manhole cover, but they all attach the exact same way to the bottoms of the turtles' feet. If you look at the bottoms of their feet, they have very, very obvious open holes, and those just plug onto the display stands. Gives them a little bit of extra stability. Because each of the turtles, after all, also have half shells, it means that they are a little bit more back heavy. And you'll see that with all the turtles, they do have the larger shells on the back, but still are contained inside basically a Minimate body underneath all this. The turtles also come included with all their corresponding baby turtles. Just get Raphael to stand here for a second. The turtles themselves don't have any articulation at all, but one thing I do really like is the touch of detail of adding a tiny blocky head for all the baby turtles. Even if they're babies, they're still apparently Minimates. The colors are matching somewhat to the turtles themselves, so you can kind of just match them up based on that. Raphael's, for example, is a little bit lighter than the green, darker green for Leonardo. It's not quite the same green as the one that we get with Donatello. His is a little bit more of a swamp green. And Mikey right away will be the one that you'll recognize, as he has kind of more of a very much more dark kind of, I don't know what kind of green you would call that, but kind of like a lime green. I like the fact that each one of the turtle babies are all kind of color matched to the larger Minimate turtles. One other thing I really like is that the set also comes included with a canister of ooze. Careful you don't open this, because you don't know what things it's going to actually end up causing. The actual canister of ooze, unfortunately, doesn't have a means to store inside their hands. Because they have gripping hands, they C-clamp hands, they don't have proper grips to hold any of these. So, I mean, again, like you just would end up having it displayed along with the turtles. One thing I love about this set is it comes included with a Minimate version of a Mauser. Traditionally, Mausers would have a little bit more of a round-off face, but because, again, it's based on a Minimate design, instead we get sort of a soup can head sculpt. There's no articulation. I kind of wish in a way that the mouth could actually have opened up, but the fact that we get ourselves a tiny little Minimate Mauser, I think that's awesome. I would have loved, in fact, actually, if we could have gotten a couple more of these with the box set. Move those over to the side. Not that these weapons are specifically wielded by one turtle alone. You get a pair of shurikens. Now, again, like the shurikens, if we take one of the turtles, I'm just taking Raphael for example here, the shuriken does then fit in between the little C-clamp hands, and it holds perfectly fine. One thing I'm a little disappointed by with the turtles is that there's no means to actually store the weapons. If I just turn the turtles around, turn Raphael, turn Donatello, I have to go pick up Raphael. On the back, though, they don't have the placement to store the weapons. So for, of course, Donatello and Leonardo, no place to store, respectively, the bow and the katanas. And then there's no place on the front to store then the sai, or, why do we keep dropping Raphael, or the nunchucks for, of course, Michelangelo. So other than this not having a place to store the weapons, at least one thing can be said, at least for the turtles, is like with all other Minimates, the weapons that they wield can all easily be clipped inside their hand. So Donatello's, or Leonardo's, for example, katanas, just clip inside his little hands. Just go fit them in like that. We'll do the exact same thing on the other side. I won't probably do it with every single one of the turtles. But again, like nice little accessories. Very easy as well to get them into their hands. All of the accessories, by the way, all the weapons that the turtles will wield, all are matching the exact same color. So they kind of have gone with more kind of a, I guess you would call it like a caramel brown. And again, like you get 2 sais for Raph. You get, one bow staff for Donatello. And then you get as well 2 nunchuck. Now, again, we'll just put down Leonardo, grab the nunchucks there, for example. These are pre-molded, but again, a soft enough plastic that even if, for example, you wanted to have this displayed in Michelangelo's 2 hands, you just clip it in one of his hands. You can also find it might even be easier just to slide it down the top of his hand instead, but just pry it across. We'll just do the other side. You may even have to kind of heat this up a little bit in hot water, but it looks like Michelangelo does have the means to maybe store the nunchuck in both of his hands. Just a little bit more of a tighter grip. Maybe if anything, I might just end up displaying the figure with the nunchuck on both his hands. But again, it's just a case of clipping these inside his grip like that. Nice way of displaying the figures. I mean, obviously, it would just seem a little out of place not to have the turtles displayed with their weapons. So I'm glad to see that we get weapons with each one of them. And then, of course, you get a couple of other shurikens there as well. Looking at each one of the turtles now, let's go back to Leonardo here. We'll just go ahead and remove his katanas. Because, again, all the turtles are basically using the same Minimate style body. The only thing that's really different is the color that they chose for the plastic. And, of course, the headband, the elbow pad, the wristband, and then also the knee pads down below. They have to make some sacrifices, unfortunately, when it comes to posability. So in order to still incorporate the knee articulation for these Minimates, it means that the knee pads have to be really low down, like some wrestlers from the 80s. I think Ric Flair was notorious for having his knee pads really low down. It just defeated the purpose completely of protecting his knees. Other than that, though, I mean, they look like their classic-looking cartoon counterparts, although the color schemes look a little bit more like the Playmates times of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where, again, each one of the turtles had their respective colors. Head sculpt for these, again, you got the headband over top of it. I really like the grimaced face that he has on the one side, and each one of the turtles, by the way, will have, why do we have Donatello turned around? There we go. Each one of the turtles do have a different face expression. And I do like the look of Leonardo. Leonardo's always been my favorite of the turtles. But if you were to look at this, basically what it is the front half and the back half are sandwiched over top of a blocky Minimate body. So really, you could take the head sculpt off, and then you basically just take the whole half shell off completely. And what you would see underneath is just a square body. Still, all the articulation is where it counts when it comes to these turtles. So again, you've got your ball joint here in the head. Although the head doesn't really move as much up and down, just because there's so much more shell. If not for the shell, you can see how much space that occupies. The ball joint would be a lot closer. I mean, obviously, it would give you a little bit more space to move the head back and forth. As it is right now, you can only really rotate the head back and forth this way. Arms easily come out at 90 degrees. You can see the way they're attached by ball joints. They move forward and back. There's a hinge on each of the elbows, and the hands also as well rotate back and forth. There's a waist swivel. Legs do split out. There's a ball joint underneath there. Legs go forward and back. There's also that hinge in the knee because, again, like the knee pad Ric Flair, too low down on the legs. And then there's also the articulation in the ankles. And that's going to be the same, of course, with all the turtles. So we're probably not going to cover the territory there. Put Leonardo down here for a second, grabbing right next to him Raphael. Love the colors of Raphael. He's got full exposed teeth from one side to the other. Much brighter, of course, of a red for a headband. Again, with the elbow pads, the wrist pads, the wristbands, and the knee pads down below. Each one of the turtles, by the way, do have their notable symbol on the front to tell us right away who the character is. Funny, though, that Donatello, his D looks a little wonky. But again, other than that, you've got, again, L, R, and D, and M, of course, respectively. The half shells themselves, the shells look to be all the same between the turtles, other than, again, like the coloring. You see the coloring is a little bit different from one to the other. And that's probably one of the reasons why maybe they didn't also have a little storage space. Plus, I was also thinking, too, maybe not for Raphael. Of course, Raphael's would be on the front. If, for example, they put like little clips on the front to maybe store like the said Psy, there's always the risk that with something so small like that, it could potentially break. And maybe that's the reasoning why they just chose not to have the clips featured on the front or on the back of the turtles to hold their respective weapon. Again, the articulation will be exactly the same on Raphael. We'll just put him down right there. Then we move on to Donatello, which I might just say is my favorite from this set. Really like the color scheme, kind of, again, like that more darker swamp green. I like the expression also on his face. Still, again, using the Minimate kind of squared can-off head. And again, like the articulation on this guy would be exactly the same. The D isn't quite looking like a D. It kind of looks, I don't know, kind of looks like a little bit of an A turned sideways. But other than that, though, a really nice looking turtle. Again, all the same articulation. I really like the coloring, though, between the purple and the green. Works really, really well with Donatello. One of my other favorites from this set would be Michelangelo. And Michelangelo, if I can actually get that out, does have, again, like the little M there on the front of his body. The head sculpt, again, is still using the same Minimate style body. Again, you've got the front and the back of the shell sandwiched essentially over top of a Minimate. I'm having a tough time getting that out. Minimate style body underneath that. But again, because they are a little bit blockier, it just means that the figure is going to have a little bit more of a harder time to stand. It's almost as if they need display stands. Oh, right. Diamond already thought of that. And again, those just plug onto the bottoms of the figure's feet. Still, the only unfortunate thing is that there's no place to store the weapons. And because, again, like in order to incorporate the knee articulation, it means that sacrifices have to be made by having the knee pads so far down. But nice looking set of turtles. The benefit of also this set, if you're lucky enough to get this for yourself, is the fact you get some goodies as well. Like, for example, the Minimate Mauser, and you also get the canister of Ooze. Not to mention as well a couple of baby turtles. We'll bring in the baby turtles right now as well. This set is limited to only, by the way, 2,500 copies worldwide. I would imagine that they're probably also tackling other turtle Minimates and other future sets. I would also love to see this set also get released maybe in a black and white treatment. While the colors don't have to necessarily be committed to Playmates color schemes, why not release a black and white color scheme based on more of the Mirage style comics, or even predating that as well? Just really nice looking turtles. Again, if you loved Minimates, I still continue to love Minimates. I'm surprised I don't look at nearly enough of them actually here on this channel. If you like Minimates and you love turtles, it's a good marriage between the two. As quick as I may have mentioned that the turtles could have looked good in black and white, sure enough, what did Diamond already do? Back in 2015, they did release a San Diego Comic-Con black and white Deco Turtle Minimate set. And looking online, though, even though the set is about, 9 years old, it's not going for as crazy stupid money as I was expecting. Some of the sets online, I mean, they're going for anywhere from $40, $48 to about $70. I suppose that isn't crazy if you're a big turtle fan. I might see if I can try to track down a set for myself. Not talking, though, black and white, but more inspired by the colors of Playmates. This set that we get from the previews exclusive here are based more on the original 80s Playmates toys, because each of the turtles, of course, have their respective Playmates colors, and that each of their accessories that they wield are all molded in the same brown plastic. I think what a fun touch would be also if they had included little weapons racks. You'll remember those little weapons racks that came included with all the Playmates turtles? What we do get at least is that we get 4 display stands. Not that all of them are the exact same. 2 of the stands are, of course, your traditional clear acrylic plastic, while one looks like a manhole cover and one looks like it's covered in mutagen. Speaking of mutagen, you also get yourself a mutagen canister for baby turtles, and one of my favorite things from the set is a blockier Mauser done in a Minimate style. I wonder if they've ever released the Minimate Mauser in any other set than this one, because I would definitely like to get more than one of them. The turtles do look good as Minimates. I mean, obviously they have to lose some of the things that would make turtles more traditional, like having, for example, their knee pads a little bit higher up, or having a place to store their weapons. Other than that, though, I really like the set, how the set turned out. Now, it is limited, though, to only 2,500 copies worldwide. That may not mean that it's going to be going for stupid, crazy money online, but it might make things a little bit harder if you're trying to track one down for yourself. If you're interested, you probably be able to find a set, I would imagine, on places like eBay, and just hope that you're not paying through the roof in order to get one for yourself. Big thank you once again, though, to the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide the sample of the previews exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Minimates box sets. If you guys are interested and would like to check out more from Minimates, popping up at the very end of this video will be a playlist not only covering Minimates, but also stuff I've done for Diamond in the past. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, making sure, of course, you're turning on the bell notification, all the fun stuff that goes into making sure that you're regularly checking out the channel, because there's always new content popping up. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.